Good morning from somewhere in Thailand, and it's a nice quiet Saturday morning as usual. It's hot. I've got a worker just quietly in the background sweeping the road there, and I'm talking to you, and I'm always grateful for the fact that you tune in. Please subscribe to the channel if you get the chance, and yeah, that's where you do it. We're going to be talking about the whole vaccine issue today, the vaccine for foreigners, because there's been a lot of confusion during the week. So let's get started. The issue of how foreigners living in Thailand, any foreigners, working or not, with pink ID cards or working permits, anyone who's basically not Thai, accessing COVID vaccines in Thailand has been the hot topic of the week. Different government spokespersons from the CCSA, the Department of Disease Control and the Public Health Ministry have made different comments with different information on different days. On Wednesday, the spokesperson for the CCSA, as part of the daily report on the 24-hour national tally of infections, said that some of the previous comments were taken out of context. To be clear, the comments were not taken out of context and were instead errors of the spokespeople at the time. They were simply conveying inaccurate information. There was no misunderstanding, no taking things out of context. At this stage, the CCSA has clarified the matter a little more, but there is still very little understood about a foreigner's rights to access any COVID vaccines in Thailand at this stage. Foreign embassies have also completely washed their hands of the issue, saying almost across the board that their citizens living in Thailand will just have to line up in the local queue. Well, that's okay. But again, most of us wonder what the hell we have these foreign embassies and consulates for in the first place, although some of them are delightful people who I recognise as having their diplomatic hands tied behind their back. Foreigners have been told that those at risk, over 60 or living in an at-risk area, will be able to apply in the next registration phase. For those in Phuket, where there's a clear and present intention to get as many residents vaccinated as soon as possible as part of the sandbox plan, there will apparently be an opportunity to register as soon as next week, as long as they're registered for their work permits on the island. Up to now, we've recommended to foreigners to register their request for vaccination with a local private hospital or multiple private hospitals. The hope in that case is that the private sector would be able to eventually access COVID vaccines that would then be sold on to foreigners, or Thais for that matter, that wanted to have greater control over the timing and choice of their COVID vaccination. I registered with the Bangkok Hospital Phuket 2 weeks ago. Approaching the counter, the first question to me was, "Do you have insurance?" I said yes, but that wasn't relevant to my visit. I simply wanted to register my name on a waiting list for the COVID vaccine. They explained that there wasn't any vaccines available at the moment. I already knew that. But they reached under the reception desk for a tatty pile of A4 pages held together with a bulldog clip, where some 413 names and phone numbers had been registered. No passport numbers, no nationalities, addresses or emails. I added my name and phone number. I was number 414, and that was that. I got a distinct impression that that pile of paper is never going to see the light of day. I hope I'm wrong. And be assured, Thailand's private sector is still actively lobbying the government for permission to import their own batch of vaccines. Some of them see tidy profits to be made, replacing their usual list of overpriced services to foreigners at this time. Adding some fuel to the fire was a Coconuts article yesterday. Their Thai writers contacted 12 hospitals and reported that no one was willing to register non-citizens. They peppered their report, saying that one hospital insisted that they could do so after 70% of Thais were vaccinated. 2 points about all that. Firstly, the response from the hospitals is precisely in line with the latest government announcement from the CCSA last Wednesday. No foreigners are included in this latest round of vaccinations on the Line account or More Prom app. So, Coconuts were just being cute or deliberately provocative with their headline, and good luck with that. The other matter, Thailand reaching a 70% level of vaccination, I think is more wishful thinking than anything else. Even in the US, it appears very unlikely they'll be able to reach that 70% immunisation level. In some states, they're now offering free beers and other inducements to get people to come in for a free vaccine. The plateauing of the vaccination of the US population must be very worrying for health officials over there. In Thailand, you can add additional layers of superstition, religious convictions, local conspiracy theories and just general distrust of the government to the hard rump of anti-vaxxers. Poll after poll shows that there's a chunk of Thais that just won't get vaccinated for whatever reason. But Coconut's cheeky story aside, there's obviously a lot of confusion surrounding foreigners trying to get some clarity about when they can expect to be vaccinated. There also appears to be a small exodus of foreigners who are just fed up with the vaccination vacillation in Thailand and are heading back to their home countries to source a free vaccine. I know 2 foreign friends that are doing just this. One's already left the country with his family. The Thai government have already acknowledged that there are about 3 million foreigners in Thailand. The vast majority of those are migrant workers, some registered, some not. The largest chunk of working foreigners in professional capacities are Japanese and Filipino workers, then a whole range of other international professionals. Then there's a small amount of retired expats and foreign visitors who are either biding their time in Thailand or who want to stay here or are literally stuck here. About the only thing we can be sure of is that as foreigners we're just going to have to be patient. There seems a genuine commitment from the Thai government to vaccinate foreigners for free. The largest chunk of working foreigners in professional capacities are Japanese and Filipino workers, then a whole range of other international professionals. Then there's a small amount of retired expats and foreign visitors who are either biding their time in Thailand or who want to stay here or are literally stuck here. About the only thing we can be sure of is that as foreigners, we're just going to have to be patient. There seems to be a genuine commitment from the Thai government to vaccinate foreigners for free as part of their plan to get some control of the country's COVID outbreak and start to pry open the borders for something resembling normal travel. Now, the timing of both issues will get pushed back, that's inevitable, and the optimism of various Thai ministers and officials needs to be put more in the context of the political and news cycle than any published calendar where the days can be ticked off. Some foreigners have been vaccinated in Thailand, including one of our freelance writers, but most of us will simply have to wait it out, wear our masks, socially distance ourselves and wash our hands, and just keep an eye on the latest announcements, as confusing and as contradictory as they may be. All this whilst it's 30 degrees, we remain relatively safe and the food remains tasty and cheap. I'm Tim Newton, thank you for watching.